Evening, everyone. It's let's see, 5:28, and this is your closing comment video number 1492. Just like Columbus, should have been this yesterday for Wednesday in the afternoon. Okay, so the chart on the screen is the S&P, and as you can see, it had an inside day, which is kind of unusual for a day that we have such an important economic number come out. But that's what it did. We were lower overnight. We were substantially higher early this morning, and by the time the market opened, it was right around unchanged. And we went down, we turned, we came back up, we tested the highs, and then we collapsed again. So I'm using the term collapsed because there's nothing else that I can think of, but it was a very tight day. The thing that surprises me is that last month they gave us the CPI first, and it was the PPI that cracked the market. Um, this month we're doing it the other way. This was where the CPI was. This is where PPI took the market lower, and then we started back up. And we had a nice little rally. So the CPI numbers were nothing overwhelming one way or the other. The Fed Open Market Committee information gave us absolutely no further change. It was, really a nothing day. And it shows with the Dow down 28 points or a tenth of a percent, NASDAQ down $9 or a tenth of a percent. The S&P was kind of the biggest loser, down 0.33, down $11.81. Um, the Russell was down, which is interesting because the Russell's been a little bit stronger. And the only one that was up was the transports, up 78.74 or 0.63. So I'm actually looking for tomorrow's CPI and core CPI. I think unless it's a really horrendous number, we're probably going to test the downside a little and then turn back up. The low here a week and a half ago was 35.71. We closed today 35.88. We could go below it and start back up. MACD barely crossing over back to the upside. So we'll just take a wait and see attitude. So, the thing that everybody was talking about today was Pepsi and how they beat so dramatically. Yeah, they passed on 100% of the inflated price to the public, and the public paid it. Price rises were 17% for Pepsi. So, this morning we were up about $4.50. We actually ended up 680, 169.40, 4.2%, which for a company this size is fairly substantial. I also mentioned CCJ this morning. They were doing a deal buying Westinghouse Electric, which, by the way, it says Westinghouse Electric, but really it's the nuclear side of it. But the bottom line is that CCJ was much more of a pure play in uranium, and people did not like it getting confused. And so the stock actually finished down 14%, $3.52, which was pretty substantial. And as I said, a big disappointment. Applied Material came out late in the day with warnings. The rest of the market took it to heart. AMAT was down only $1.35. We'll see how it goes, but it did take down Lam, Qualcomm, Marvell. I mean, the whole group. What I find interesting, and I know that I've mentioned it before, Intel. Intel is paying their new CEO, who came in when the stock was 60, and they're paying him 178 million. And since he's been there, they've had layoffs. They now have another new layoff of 12,000 employees, which is about 20% of the staff. Now, you can argue they're not making money, and laying off staff is a step in the right direction. At this point in Intel's life, that's exactly not what I want to see. What I want to see is CapEx. I want to see how they're developing demand for what they produce. I certainly don't want to see them just cutting everybody out. And frankly, the stock was only up 1% today. And Gelsinger, I just don't get it. I just don't get where this guy is worth 180 million. If I were a shareholder, I would be looking to be part of a class action for paying a guy almost $180 million and watching the stock go from 60 to 25. Just me. Tomorrow we have CPI, we have core CPI, we have jobless claims because it's Thursday. Thursday is claims day. Oil was down 208. Gold was down 8.5. Bitcoin basically unchanged, up 195 on 19,000, so less than right around 1%. The dollar was higher, and what was interesting today is the dollar was higher, and so were the bonds. The bonds were up a half a point. The dollar was up about 9 cents to 113.22. So I'll be back first thing in the morning when we have some economic